They say the pyramids were built on the screams of slaves dying of heat. It sounds cruel, heroic, and tragic. The only problem is, it's not entirely true. And it's precisely this lie that makes Egyptian history one of the most absurd stories ever believed by mankind. It all started with one fear: death. The pharaohs didn't fear death, they feared oblivion. To them, death was simply a change of address, and their new home had to be grander than anything that had ever stood on earth. From there, a mad decision was born: building a mountain of stone, block by block, not for the people, not for the future of Egypt, but to ensure that one's name would live on even as their bodies decayed. Then reality began to set in. 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing 2 to 5 tons, had been erected over 2 decades under an unforgiving sun. Thousands of people worked. The slightest mistake meant death, and logistics could collapse at any moment. But amidst this pressure, a rarely shared irony emerges. They were not slaves. They were skilled laborers, seasonal farmers, stonemasons, architects. They were paid, fed meat, and even buried near the pyramids. Too honored to be called slaves, but too bound to be free. The problem is, the modern world doesn't like simple answers. Centuries later, when Westerners saw the precision of the pyramids without modern machinery, common sense felt embarrassing. So, more comfortable stories emerged. Mass slavery, aliens, lost technology, anything, as long as it wasn't an admission that ordinary humans with rigid organization and absolute power were capable of creating both wonder and suffering. History is not immediately felt. The pyramids may have stood, but Egypt slowly collapsed from within. The massive tomb project drained resources, oppressed the people, and widened social gaps. Successive generations of pharaohs quietly retreated, choosing hidden tombs in quiet valleys. The pyramids ceased construction, not because the secret was lost, but because the arrogance was too costly to repeat. And therein lies the irony of history. The pyramids are not monuments to aliens, nor symbols of mass slavery. They are traces of human ego, built by people convinced that their lives were less important than the death of their king. The names of the pharaohs have been nearly lost, but the stones remain, staring down the ages without explaining anything. Perhaps the darkest thing about the pyramids isn't the burial chambers, but our own minds, which prefer grand myths to harsh reality. And if you feel like the story isn't over yet, rest assured, history often stops just before we're ready to accept the truth.